He has been doing nothing for the past week but swinging sticks at little dimpled balls and then chasing them into the woods. He is Jon Mozes from the Altoona Curve. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. You get some time off in the middle of a baseball season. You have to take advantage of it and get away a little bit, don't you, John?
Yeah, it was nice to unplug a little bit, and I'm sure a lot of our guys were feeling the same thing. Getting a chance to see wives, girlfriends, family this week was probably restorative for everybody.
Did you get a chance to talk to any of the players since they got back?
No, I'll see them at the ballpark tonight when I meet them in Harrisburg.
Yeah, probably some of them will have fresh tattoos, I'm guessing.
Or just new suntans.
There you go. Whatever it happens to be. I hope they all enjoyed their time off because now it's time to get back to work. So 3 against Harrisburg and then off to Bowie, correct?
That's right, yeah. This is the other half of the series we played to start the year, so that we opened the season on a Friday night against Harrisburg back at Altoona, and now we played the other half of that series, so the schedule stays even at 6-game series apiece.
Yeah, all right, so let's talk a little bit about pitching. I'm sure the Pirates were not all that sad to see their pitchers get some extra time off during this past week. It probably did them a world of good. And who goes tonight, Ortiz?
Should be Luis Ortiz, yeah. And last time we saw him, he was at his best. 6 strikeouts and 4 scoreless innings. Threw an immaculate inning, which is where he threw 9 pitches in the inning, all strikes, and struck out all 3 guys. He's just starting to find it, and he, as we saw in his last appearance Saturday before the All-Star break, he's going to be really good when it all clicks.
It's interesting to me. You look at that Altoona Curve pitching staff, and Ortiz has been a guy who didn't have a whole bunch of publicity coming in, but he's been more than just a little bit solid. Some of the guys whose names we have heard a lot, they've been doing a pretty nice job lately as well. And you think of guys like Quinn Priester, Kyle Nicholas, Carmen Majinski. They've all done pretty well recently, and it's kind of heartening to see that because the Pirates, here was this draft, and they took 21 guys, and 15 of them are arms. So these guys probably looking behind themselves, saying, if we got people coming into the lower leagues, that means people are going to get pushed up against us here. We'd better perform.
Absolutely. It's funny. Last year, I remember speaking to Cal Mitchell about, how do you stay motivated year to year? And, that was the first thing he pointed to. He's like, well, the draft is something that happens every year where the organization finds new players that they're excited about and guys that, theoretically will help the organization down the road. So, they're now my competition as much as anything else. And, I think this week, not only was it a good reminder for guys of, hey, look, the time is undefeated, the clock ticks, and, you got to do your work so that you're ready when the opportunity presents itself. But, you also get a chance to reset your body and finish the second half on a strong note.
I know the Pirates have high hopes for the 3 guys I just mentioned and for Ortiz as well. So let's look at them each. Quinn Priester, of course, #1 draft pick a couple of years ago. He's been really impressive, hasn't he?
He sure has. He has showcased the type of stuff that, pretends to make him a effective major league starter for a long time. He's got a great attitude about him. That's one thing that I've sort of picked up is that he has a really just a great perspective on the world. He's got a good positive attitude that he brings every day. He has built some good relationships with his teammates and with his colleagues on the pitching staff. Part of that's friendly competition, but off the field, he helps bring people together.
I get the impression he carries himself really well, like a #1 draft choice, but not in an arrogant sort of way, but just I know what's expected of me, and I have the confidence I can do it.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys that always has a smile on. You can see that he genuinely enjoys what he does for a living and for a life, and I think that element of it probably helps him in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, another of the fellows that I mentioned came via trade, Kyle Nicholas. He's a guy that the Pirates looked at and said, this is a fella who's really got some great stuff.
Sure does. And, I wonder if sort of the the middle part, the time of the year here, if he was just sort of going through a little bit of I don't, maybe his body didn't agree with him, or, he just didn't have good results for, 2 out of 3 outings or 3 out of 4 outings. And, it felt like to me, watching his last start, that, the All-Star break could serve him really well, just a chance to, step back a little bit and then, reload, if you will, for the second half of the season. We've seen the elite stuff. He's had some incredible outings to start the year. It's just about finding that consistency for him. And I look forward to seeing that this weekend in Harrisburg.
There's a lot of that same feeling as well, isn't there, about Carmen Mlodzinski? He really needed this All-Star break, too.
Yeah, I think it was pretty encouraging the way Carmen pitched on Sunday before the break. And, sometimes with those games, the last one before an All-Star break or something like that, the opponent tends to, give away some at-bats. But, Carmen took what was available to him, pitched 5 innings again. I think that's a good benchmark for Carmen to get to 5 innings and do it on a regular basis. But, we talk about Carmen, maybe having some struggles here and there. He's at 2 earned runs or fewer in all but 3 of his starts this year. So, while we may say, like, it's interesting to see that he hasn't pitched well at times, the numbers, he's actually keeping opponents off the board pretty consistently, and I think that's a good sign because it could show how much better he can be.
Yeah, all of those guys we expect one day will end up in the Pirates rotation. Now, as we enter this second half of the season, and technically the second half of the season began a few weeks ago, but as we come after the All-Star break, who are those guys who will be swinging the bats who you expect to take a step forward here in these next final weeks? Really, it's hard to believe it, but the final weeks of the season are coming up. Who are the guys we should be looking at?
Yeah, I think Fabricio Macias is somebody we should all know a little bit more about. He's an outfielder who is a little bit like Luis Ortiz, where he doesn't appear on prospect lists, but, when he's given an opportunity, he's been effective. He's got 8 hits. He's got a hit in 8 of the 11 games he's played with the Curve this year. His right-handed power, I think, balances the lineup a little bit. So looking forward to seeing some more Fabricio Macias. I don't think we're all that far away from somebody like Lolo Sanchez returning from the injured list. Nick Gonzalez couldn't be that far away either, based on, the fact that he was out of his boot before the break. So, I think we're going to be looking at a team in 2 or 3 weeks where you get a couple of those guys back and healthy, like Lolo Sanchez and Nick Gonzalez, and, maybe then somebody like Colin Selby will come off the injured list. Omar Cruz could be back soon. And then, when you shorten that injury report a little bit, you get those pretty good players back in the lineup, and, that's going to make for a pretty scary opponent. I'm
guessing that, like Cal Mitchell said last week, Nick Gonzalez looked at that Pirates draft and saw who they took and said to himself, now's the time. Now I had better start swinging this thing, and my game had better start coming together. He might feel a little pressure, and that might be a good thing.
It could be, the higher you go in a minor league system, the more you're going to feel that pressure, that you put on yourself to, achieve your dreams, because you can feel how close it is, but also the external pressure of people expecting you to be great. And then, the internal pressure, as you said, of draft picks that are a couple years behind you where you're reminded that the clock is ticking on you a little bit. So, I think for Nick, he's one of those guys like Quinn who just has a great demeanor and a great, sort of mental aspect to the game, where he doesn't get too high or too low. So I think, a little bit of pressure will help, but, he's one of those guys that keeps it pretty even day to day anyway.
Yeah. All right. And of course, we continue to expect big things out of Peguero. Frazier looks like he's beginning to find it at the plate a little bit. Triolo is another guy whose name we've been hearing consistently. So all of those guys in the second half of the season, we'd expect them to not only keep going, but maybe make a step forward and help the Curve even a little bit more, put together some wins. So after you go to Harrisburg for this weekend, then you've got Bowie, but then you're home and you've got some pretty neat promotions coming up for Altoona Curve.
Oh, we sure do. We've got a couple of very special appearances coming up. We've got Andy Buckley on his way in. He played David Wallace in The Office. That's coming in early August. We're also going to see a retired Pittsburgh Penguin, Brian Trottier, won 7 Stanley Cups in his playing career. He's going to come out for a special appearance when we're back in early August. We'll wear these Mountain City uniform tops a couple more times. Friday, August 5th, we have another bobblehead giveaway, and this one's kind of a cool throwback. It's like a vintage Altoona Curve player. If you check out some of our social media channels, you can see pictures of it there. And yeah, we'll be home quite a bit in August. 2 full weeks plus a little bit there at the end of the month. Great chance to make a few more summer memories before school gets back in session around Labor Day.
There you go. You're not going to drop that name on us, are you, about that bobblehead dude?
He is just the vintage man. He is good.
All righty. Well, we look forward to that and so much more from the Altoona Curve. Jon Mozes, glad you got your break, glad you got a rest, got to swing the golf clubs a little bit, and look forward to getting back to work. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you very much. See you soon.
Have a great week. It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160.